Hi guys, this is Lada from astrolada.com with your weekly horoscope for the last week of June 2018. And it's a very important week. It's quite intense. I think it can be one of the more difficult weeks this year, if not some of the most difficult weeks throughout the year. And I'm going to walk you through the astrology of it. I don't want to scare you. I want to prepare you, and I want to give you advice how to best cope with it, how to benefit from the more difficult astrological influences, because even the most difficult cosmic uh, phenomena that are happening, they're ultimately there to help us towards some higher or greater goal. And as they say, we can make, and people, the more conscious they are, the more present they can take advantage of all possible influences that are coming from the stars. And I'm even like Mars is going retrograde this week. We're going to talk about this, what it means, and how you can protect yourself, or how you can diminish the negative influences of that. Also, we're going to have a intense full moon in Capricorn conjunct Saturn. And Saturn is the most difficult planet. So basically, the two, as we know them in astrology, malefics, Saturn and Mars, are most active this week. It doesn't mean only bad things will happen, but it means that even if we want something positive, or if we want some positive results, we have to try harder and we'll have to put more effort. So something good can come by starting initially by some challenge, so to speak, and conscious people will take advantage of it and manifest something good. Unconscious people, unfortunately, can get themselves into some trouble or just feel more miserable. And I personally am even wearing this week a lot of my protective astrology talismans, and a lot of people ask me what this talisman is. Actually, it was given to me from an astrologer and jewelry maker, and it was made on when Jupiter was conjunct the star Spica. There was an opening of about 15 minutes, and he kind of forged a few of those, and I'm going to put a link below. And it's according to ancient astrological lore how to make magical talismans. It's very protective. It has the Babylonian symbol of Jupiter on it. And there are other amazing talismans on the website that are made by a jewelry maker and an astrologer at very specific periods. Some of this he had to wait 12 years for this specific 15-minute opening to make this jewelry, and he was able to forge just a few of those. Very protective. And I'm also wearing my other protective Venus ring from Crasia Tasio. I'm going to put a link for her as well, which was made on a very specific day when Venus is very strong with special magical rituals. So yes, if you have something that is protective, wear it this week, or say prayers. Now let's start what is happening. Well, Mars is turning retrograde on the 26th, 27th of June. And in ancient Babylonian astrology, they said that when a planet changes direction, is extremely powerful 7 days before and 7 days after the change of that direction. So for about 2 weeks, and you're already feeling it, some of you are feeling it very strongly, and 7 days after that, after Mars turns retrograde, and 7 days before, its influence intensifies. But Mars is known as a troublemaker. Mars is known as an aggressive planet. So what you'll start noticing is that people become more reactive, that people are getting more easily irritated. You yourself might feel that. You yourself might feel that others are pressing your buttons, or that you have less patience and less tolerance, that you can explode and others can explode more easily. So conflicts intensify. Actually, in astrology, very often around the weeks when Mars goes retrograde, wars have erupted throughout history, if you look back, or big conflicts start to happen. So it's good to be more careful, more cautious, because you're walking with a loaded gun. Mars retrograde is a loaded gun with the safety taken off, and it can, explode any moment. And of course, ultimately, it has a purpose. Ultimately, Mars going retrograde is about a rebalancing and starting a process of rebalancing the unequal power and unequal levels of assertion in oneself, because Mars rules our ability to assert ourselves, to defend ourselves, to fight for what we want, to go after what we want. And some people have much lower capacity for that. They would always bite their tongue and not defend themselves, or try to avoid conflict. You know, some people on that scale, and they'll allow others to bully them, or they'll not assert, they'll not state clearly what their demands are. They'll not have the courage to go after they want, or after what they want, you know. And when Mars starts going retrograde in phase, something will start escalating in their life. Whatever they are lacking in regards to Mars, maybe if someone is bullying them, it will escalate, it will become more intense. If someone is overstepping their boundaries and being intrusive, it will escalate furthermore. If something irritates them and they usually keep their silence about it, it will escalate a lot more. Some situation where they need to be assertive but they usually are not will also escalate. Some situation that irritates them where they usually keep, you know, they're like, okay, I'm gonna stay away from the conflict, I'm not gonna, you know, just leave it. But these situations will escalate, so those people can start reorienting and can start reprogramming their assertive power. So maybe they can take their power, and it starts a process. Maybe they won't immediately, you know, but they'll start reacting much more. These situations will increase over the next 2 weeks, and so they can start a process which continues about 2 months while Mars is retrograde, during which they can reclaim a more balanced use of assertion, a more empowered ability to self-assert, and to maybe even to fight back, to speak up what they're upset about, to go after what they want. If they usually are too fearful, too afraid, or, you know, as I said, timid people of some sort, that are not assertive, process is starting to happen in them. But unfortunately, this process starts by escalation of the things that usually is that takes their power, or the thing that makes them suppress their anger instinct, to their instinct of self-assertion and going after things and courage. While for other people, they might be on the opposite scale, side of the scale. They can be too assertive, they can be too bossy, too pushy, they can be too reckless, too spontaneous, just jumping in without consideration, saying things that might hurt others constantly. Now, when Mars starts going retrograde, these instincts will increase in them. They'll become more irritable, more snappy, more bullish. They'll become more bossy. They will become more ruthless towards getting what they usually want. But that will, because this will escalate, this will create problems for them. And on those problems, they'll have to work over the next 2 months. But now is the peak, the escalation of that. So it can, this escalation happens because Mars is so strong when it's retrograde. When it's turning retrograde, it's so much closer to Earth. It's super bright star in the sky. So those tendencies increase. For those that have weak Mars, it comes from outside, like being bullied and being pushed to start speaking up, or to start changing this weakness into more assertive power. For those that are too much martial, that are too much, you know, creating troubles and problems, this will also escalate. Their anger, their irritability will also escalate, and their reactiveness will escalate. So they can take a look within when Mars starts going retrograde, and because some problem happens, and usually they could get away with it till now. Maybe it created some tensions and frictions with others, but now they can't get away from it. Now the repercussions of their too violent or angry or reckless or spontaneous, or too, thoughts that are without thinking, just rushing and doing something, will start backfiring. Maybe they'll become aware of certain mistakes, or people that they've hurt will come to confront them, or some situation, if they rush too much, that they created, or if they were too pushy, too inconsiderate, which can be the extreme side of Mars, and ruthless. This will create complicated situations in their life, and they'll have to rethink those behaviors, those inconsiderate or too focused ways of acting, and they'll have to retrace their step backs and rebalance again this out of balance martial activities in their life. On another level, it can mean that something from the past, something buried, some buried conflict from the past, buried but unresolved conflict from the past, resurfaces again, especially over the next 2 weeks while Mars is in a phase starting to turn retrograde. And it can resurface, so it can be fixed. The ultimate goal of Mars generally is to fix things, to improve things. Mars is physical, it is not afraid to confront problems and to fix them in some way. And when there is, and to rebalance situations, but it does it in a stressful, angry way. So people will all over the world be feeling this, some a lot more, others a lot less. Those that are with planets in the fixed signs, in particular, Taurus, Aquarius, Leo, and Taurus and Scorpio, especially the first 10 degrees of those signs, they'll feel it very intensely. The first decan, so to speak, or people basically born, if they're Scorpio in October, the beginning of November, if they're Aquarius in January born Aquarius, the beginning of, and a little bit the beginning of February, Leos that are July born Leos, and just the beginning of, as well, of August. And April born Tauruses in particular as well. So yes, it's really, and if you have any planets there, again, you'll feel it. I think everyone has some planet there. I would say 90% of people in the world have a planet somewhere there in those signs that will be affected. So you'll start feeling it from every side. And if you're feeling a bit off, a bit more irritable, there is a purpose for that. It's rebalancing of energy that's starting to happen, and the need to maybe fix something from the past that you haven't fixed, that requires a lot of your willpower and concentrated effort. Mars is about putting effort, about putting energy, it's very dynamic. It's about confronting something without fear, and now something escalates that you can no longer avoid it. Some problem, something breaks. It can be conflict between people. It can be some other irritant that is out of balance that needs to be fixed and confronted, such situations in your life. And if you want to know specifically what areas of your life might be influenced, check out my June videos. I speak in depth about each sign, Mars going retrograde in their different houses, what it means for Aries, for Leo, for Libra, So check those signs to have more in-depth information. But just warning you, one way to offset this more volatile and angry energy of Mars in the next 2 weeks, guys, is to do some physical exercise. So try to channel this energy in other Mars activities that are less harmful and that will disperse some of the stressful energy. Start a workout routine, up your work exercise, but don't do risky sports, because Mars in phase about to turn back, and turning back is can create more accidents as well. Can create, so don't operate some machineries as well if possible, or be more cautious when you operate such machineries that are dangerous. If you're traveling and driving on the road, again, there can be more road rage. They can be more careful again. Just Mars is so strong. It's so close to Earth. It's like Mars has embraced with its belligerent and angry energy the Earth, and it affects everyone, the whole world collectively. You see it in events around the world as well. Maybe fires, because Mars rules fires. Maybe conflicts erupting, and you'll see it on a personal level as well. And again, ultimately, you see why this is happening. It's almost like reaching the end of the rope in some behaviors and actions that you have, and now you have to turn back, and you have to use a lot of your willpower, which is what Mars rules, and a lot of self-discipline, which again, Mars is the soldier that uses self-discipline in order to correct that situation, in order to improve it and to fix it. So don't, yes, it can create conflict and tension and stresses, but keep in mind the ultimate goal of this planet, which is to fix something, to perfect it, to make it better. And it might take a couple of months working on that until it turns direct again for you to see the results. But ultimately, it can be fantastic. Ultimately, it can lead to much more healthier situation in some situation in your life that has been out of balance somehow. Okay, on another level, we have a full moon in Capricorn. And full moons are usually about manifestation. And what is the full moon? When the sun is here and the moon is opposite it and the earth is basically in the middle of them. here. But this time the moon becomes full next to the star Saturn, and Saturn is extremely powerful. It's very bright. It's in its another phase. Saturn is in a phase because it's exactly opposite the sun, 180 degrees. That's another phase according to ancient Babylonian astrology. Planets are in phase when they change direction, when they're opposite the sun, or when they're conjunct the sun. These are different phases, and again makes a planet extremely powerful. It coincides with the time when Mars is going retrograde, so this Saturn is so much empowered. It's so bright in the sky. A planet is strong when it's very visible in the sky. And Saturn, as you know, is a planet of blockages, restrictions, delays, redoing something over again. It's about karma. Oh, okay, if you don't believe in karma, it's about seeing the consequences of your actions and learning lessons the hard way. So this becomes a big theme this week as well. And almost like together with Mars, if some conflict happens or if some eruption of anger, Saturn can increase the resentment because Saturn is keeping, and the moon is feelings, and Saturn is kind of making those resentful feelings, makes one keep up to the resentful feelings and even exhibit them because the moon is full. You show those resentful feelings. Saturn is resentment or pain or guilt or sometimes shame, I don't want to scare you, this it's gonna a full moon influence lasts for about 2 weeks. It's extremely powerful around the 27th, I think, 27th, 26th when it's happening, the full moon, but you can feel it a week before that and a couple of weeks after that. So remember, you might be keeping in your heart more resentful feelings, but at the same time, Saturn, if something happens with Mars, like some conflict erupts or you do something unsavory or someone else does something unsavory, there are very quick repercussions for those actions because Mars is the rogue, is the is the, what's it called, like the in astrology it rules people that are up to no good, that do something harmful that create some problem, trolls and people that do forgeries and thieves and and on the negative scale, this is what Mars rules. So if anything like that happens, this full moon in Saturn, conjunct Saturn, will quickly expose such activities because the full moon is about giving light. The moon is light, and it's putting like a beam projector on the stage, and Saturn is next to this full moon, so it's putting it's beaming this light immediately of repercussions for your actions very fast. As I said, Saturn is strongly empowered by this full moon. And our feelings, as I said, are more serious, more sober. And actually, that's a good way to behave this week, to comply with the behaviors of of Saturn, basically to be more sober, to be more cautious, to be more basically not to act out if possible, to be deliberate in your actions, to consider things first, to test things a few times before you go and do something, to be certain, to measure 3 times before you cut, as they say. And as well, there can be tension and around the full moon with the moon rules all the women, or women generally, and Saturn is a planet of complications and blockages that can happen, maybe not in the life of everyone, but they can be felt strongly, that some tension comes with women in your life, that some more difficult situation comes with the women or mothers in the life of people. And usually a full moon is about manifesting something positive, though, because full moon is fertility. It's the fullness that the moon can receive from the sun, so it tends to manifest. But because it is with Saturn, it can still manifest, but with more effort. And in order to manifest, maybe some kind of a first, there can be activation of more painful emotions in you, which pushes you to manifestation, or maybe with the need to work a lot more, or with the need to put a lot more effort to overcome some obstacle first before you can have this manifestation. And in particular for Aries, for example, the full moon is happening it's because it's in Capricorn, it's in their 10th house. So there can be some tension, and the sun is here, of course, and there can be some tension between their personal life and their family life. Family life is fourth house, personal life. They might have to find a way to balance between them. There might be seesaw tension there, maybe heavy responsibilities with their career, social work, social reputation, or duties and responsibility affects how they feel emotionally, affects and creates tension with their personal life, family life. In some way they have to be cautious, but they can also manifest something in regards to their career, in regards to their social status, through concerned, through focused effort, through putting effort, through being cautious, but again, through overcoming some obstacle. Over the next 2 weeks they can manifest something in regards to that. When it comes to the next sign, Taurus, it is happening in their ninth house, ninth and third house. Basically, the sun and are opposing there. Well, that's actually not so bad. So Taurus, I think we're a little bit more shielded and from this influence of this full moon. But again, they can manifest something in regards to this ninth house over the next 2 weeks, which is they can manifest something in regards to traveling, documents, legalization of something. They can manifest something in regards to some exams, in regards to higher education. But they might need first to jump some hoops and to overcome some obstacles. And ninth house is also traveling to foreign countries, higher education, ninth houses, your belief systems, and this is a mental axis, how you think. So they can be a little bit more of a negative mindset, or more of a serious, let's say the positive side is more of a serious mindset. They can be the need for some important conversations, negotiations, important plans that are being made now that can manifest and gives results. But again, they have to be more cautious with detail, and they have to be like Saturn, and they have to put more effort in that. When it comes to Cancer, it's happening in the second and in the eighth house. Sorry, not Cancer, Gemini is the next sign. Gemini, the eclipse is happening in the eighth, sorry, not the eclipse, the full moon. We're not up to the eclipses. In the eighth house and the second house. So there can be some tension about my money, your money, my resources, your resources. How much are you giving? How much am I giving? It might be with clients, it might be with partners, business partners, might be with marriage partners. And again, they can manifest something through other people's resources and materially, but they have to, and through taxes or through inheritances or through resources that comes to others in any way, insurances. But it requires hard work for the next 2 weeks, and require jumping some hoops. It requires consistency, methodical work, doing it over a few times, because Saturn retrograde requires you to do something over a few times. And they can be some eighth house, the house of intimacy. They can be like a big projector put on your intimate feelings. And we're talking about sexual intimacy as well with another person. And even some secrets. Eighth house is a secretive house. Some secrets being exposed and coming to the surface that might be a bit painful, Saturn. But the purpose of that is, to, I don't know what the purpose of that is. For everyone is a different purpose that the secret will be exposed. That's the eighth house. And they can be like a big projector put on your intimate life, and you become aware of basically of something that's not going well there, something that's not functioning well between you and your partner, and the trust and the intimacy there. So maybe important conversations have to happen. And again, you can manifest deepening of that intimacy, but by working hard on it. Okay, for Cancers, it's happening in their seventh house, and the sun is in their first house. So it's on the axis of relationships. So if you're Cancer, it's happening in your first and seventh house, and particularly the focus is in the seventh house of relationships. So yes, you can manifest something through a relationship, something important. It might be signing a contract, an agreement, a business deal. But again, it's good for professional relationships, because Saturn is very professional, career-oriented planet the next 2 weeks. But in personal relationships, it can put some pressure, and it can escalate the dynamic between, and some conflict that is what do you need and what does the partner need. What are the partner's needs? Maybe some demands from the partner can put pressure on you because Saturn is a demanding planet. Or maybe you have certain expectations that the partner is not meeting, and this creates like the need to confront that situation. But again, as I said, on a positive level, it can manifest something through relationship, but you need to jump some hoops or work extra hard, or first some kind of a dissatisfaction comes to the surface that is worked through, and it eventually and within the next 2 weeks can give positive manifestations. For Leos, it is happening in the 12th house and the 6th house. So the eclipse is basically focused on, sorry, not the eclipse, the full moon. The full moon in Capricorn is based in the 6th house and is with Saturn and it's in the sign of Capricorn. Oh, very Saturnian full moon. Ooh, very Saturnian full moon about responsibilities and duties, and it's happening for Leo in the 6th house of responsibilities and duties. So they can feel like increase of some duties. It might be duties at home, or having too many errands to run, or having too many, being given extra duties to do at work, for example. And that can create tension between the 12th house, which is to rest, and 6th house is to fulfill your duties and responsibilities and to work. So there can be some tension. They want to rest, but at the same time they can't because the full moon is happening in the 6th house. They have to put focus there. They need to find some balance as well, though. But on a positive level, it can give the fulfillment, the manifestation of the fruits of some efforts that you've been putting. You can see it, but again, it requires maybe doing it a few times, maybe jumping a few hoops, trying harder, maybe overcoming some conflict at work or some problem at work, and some problem that appears, which is certain that you solve, can manifest to you something positive, But again, it's because Saturn triggers this full moon. Yes, the full moon gives, but it gives in a constipated way or through more effort. And it's your health as well. It puts a focus for your Leos on your health and your health routines. Do you brush your teeth? Do you do enough exercise? Do you walk enough? You become more conscious of those things. Maybe because of because you're starting to notice negative effects of your health and of your and you become dissatisfied with how your health is, or how your routines are, or how you're feeling on the health level. So you can manifest something. You can manifest something better, but it's triggered by such Saturnian feelings. Okay, on another level, for Virgo, the full moon is happening in the 5th house and it's making opposition with the 11th house. 5th house is your romantic life, 11th house is your social life, so there can be some tension that escalates there. So your boyfriend or girlfriend might say, I want to go out to see friends, and you're like, but what about us and time with us? And or it can be the opposite. You might feel like, oh, I need to spend more time with friends, and this creates tension with your romantic partner, in the 5th house. That's one way it can manifest. Another way is that the spotlight is put on your love life, the 5th house, on your romantic life. But there can be some dissatisfaction, like you might be feeling that there is not enough love, or that there is not enough romantic expression of feelings, or something is not right, and it makes you become emotional about it. This is the full moon, and bring it to the surface, maybe communicate about it. But again, full moons do tend to give manifestation, completion, fulfillment in some way. But so this situation can lead to fulfillment, a more manifestation of proper exchange of love, but you first have to work through those difficult issues, and you have about 2 weeks to do that. But again, the final result should be positive, because this is what full moons are about. On another level, 5th house is your children. So the full moon puts there, if you have children, there may be some difficult situation in the life of the child that they have to be more consistent or work harder, or you might be having more responsibilities and duties with your children for the next couple of weeks, and it might be more intense, because of course Saturn requires us to work harder, but you can manifest some great project with your child, or can help them to manifest something, to complete something, and you can help them become a more responsible person as well. But it puts a lot of pressure on you wanting to make your child, to help your child, or to make your child more responsible, more disciplined, more structured, and you can manifest that, or to help them with some work project of some sort. And the fifth house is also a creative project, so likely they might require, they can be completion, fulfillment, manifestation of some creative project, but it requires hard work and some efforts there. And maybe redoing things a few times. And if you've been working hard on some creative project, now it can be the fulfillment of it. Then, if you are a Libra, this is your 10th house where the sun is, and the full moon is happening in your 4th house. So again, there can be tension between your personal life and your career, Libras. You might have to balance between those things, but the focus is stronger on your personal life, because the full moon is happening there. You have to pay attention there. There might be some extra responsibilities for you, Libras, that appear in your family life, at home, having to fix something, whatever. Or if you've been working hard on some home or family project, now you can see the manifestation and the results of that. But it requires like more methodical, more, it might be the results come slower. But again, the next 2 weeks, something important can come and manifest in a positive way in regards to your personal life, property, family, place of living, with extra responsibilities. So you first might have to overcome certain difficulties or put extra efforts, or to overcome some difficulty or blockage there, but you can manifest and you can see results there, because that's what the full moon is about. But you can be feeling a bit more emotionally distant and emotionally more, because the moon is feelings, the 4th house is feelings, and Saturn there can make you feel a bit dissatisfied with all those responsibilities and duties in your personal life, and can put the focus on that. So things have to be talked about. Maybe there can be more pressure from your family coming, but again, you can get a lot of things done. You can complete a lot of things. You can be very productive in regards to your family, personal life, property. If you are Scorpio, this is your 9th house where the sun is, and this is your 3rd house. Actually, quite not a bad eclipse, not a bad full moon for Scorpios. These are friendly houses for Scorpios, friendly signs, and the spotlight is put on. There can be some clash of opinions with others. Okay, this is an axis of communication. 9th house expressing your beliefs. 3rd house is communicating. And there can be some tension between those things. And kind of conflict between the higher mind and the lower mind. The facts and the principles. But the eclipse is focused mostly in your the full moon. I keep saying eclipse. I'm rushing ahead. The full moon in Capricorn is focused in the 3rd house, and it can, as I said, it can give positive manifestation because it's a full moon, but with extra efforts. And the 3rd house is about writing. Maybe if you're completing some writing project, you can complete and put lots of extra efforts over the next 2 weeks, some report, or maybe if you're working on some website, anything which is written, spoken, anything connected to commercial projects and activities, commercial transactions, anything connected to administration, business. It's all those 3rd house activities, or small group. If you're working with a small group of people, maybe it can be that the next 2 weeks you would complete some project working in a team with people, but it requires you to be extra professional. There is pressure, there is demands there, there is timelines, deadlines. There is also some kind of the need to be more cautious and the need to overcome certain hoops. There can be some pressure happening in relationships with siblings, 3rd house, or relatives, co-workers, teammates, playmates. 3rd house rules all those, but it can come to a completion, fruition, something you're doing with them, some kind of a solution of a situation with such people. But again, you have to be more responsible, more cautious, you have to be more careful, and you have to overcome certain hoops again. And some travels. 3rd house is connected to traveling, to moving Again, it can come to fruition that some travel is happening over the next couple of weeks, or some documents, third house is documents, but it requires extra efforts again and putting more focus on it, and there can be some delays that you have to overcome, but it manifests within 2 weeks. Some news that you need to hear, maybe taking some exams as well. If you're taking an exam, you can complete and finish with those exams and even have a positive results, but you have to put the hard work, which is what Saturn is. No loopholes, no jumping loopholes. Okay, if you are Sagittarius, the full moon in Capricorn is happening in your second house, of course, and that's the 8th house. Again, just like for Gemini, there can be some tension between my resources, your resources, how much you're giving, how much I'm taking, with clients, with business partners, with marriage partners. But the focus is on your second house of your own resources. So there can be manifestation. As I said, this full moon manifests. But because it's with Saturn, those manifestations can happen after first becoming dissatisfied with something, disgruntled, and putting some extra effort. So because of that, you manifest new resources, or you manifest better resources. You buy or receive something that is of value for you. It's something materially and tangibly. If you're working very hard and you've been working on some financial project or some financial resources or some financial situation very hard, this can be the manifestation of it. Only if you've been doing it proper, working hard, and this full moon can give you manifestation in that. If you haven't, maybe the full moon will make you a bit disappointed, because it will show you the fullness of your, basically, of how the fullness of your efforts that don't lead to much financial, too much financial reward, and this can feel a little bit disheartening. But again, it's about completing something which is connected to material, tangible resources, and it's about seeing the results of that, and maybe correcting your plan for action in regards to resources and material circumstances for the next few months, because Saturn wants to correct things as well, Saturn retrograde in particular. And if you are Capricorn, of course, the full moon is happening in your sign. Capricorns feel this the most. Wow. What is it? Well, the spotlight is on you this week and next week, Capricorns. You're being observed under a microscope. You're being watched closely. Your actions will be very noticeable to others. They'll have repercussions. And the full moon is usually a beneficial event, as I keep repeating, for every sign. It can give you some manifestation. And you know how to navigate Saturn anyway. So there can be some, especially if you've been working hard on some new beginning in your life, you've been working hard on some new project over the past few months. If you any kind of responsibilities and duties that you've been putting hard, it can now, you can see the potential, you can see the fruition of the results of this right now, and you can start seeing results. But of course, Saturn is there, so it makes you feel like, oh, I need to work harder, and I need to do even better, and to put more efforts, and I need to change some, tweak some plans of mine, and put extra efforts in it. So even if the results are positive, which there will be, full moons are about positive manifestations, again, there is a sense of dissatisfaction that pushes you to try extra hard and to put even more efforts. Okay, and there is pressure on you, but at the same time, there is a manifesting ability on you, and there is maybe extra responsibilities that are quite heavy on you, but at the same time, the ability to manifest more stable and secure structures in your life over the next 2 weeks. And then if you're Aquarius, this full moon is happening in your 12th house. Emotionally, you might be feeling this 12th house is house of feelings. It doesn't always manifest so much on the material level, but this full moon, it's kind of feelings are, the 12th house is feelings, full moon is powerful feelings, but Saturn is there. So you might be feeling a bit more negative feelings of some sort. You might be feeling emotionally, and you might not even know why you're feeling a bit off emotionally. why you're feeling a bit too sensitive and too, let's say, and let's not forget that Mars is going retrograde in your sign, so you feel Mars the most of all signs. Aquarius is the most happening sign, whether it's your Aquarius sun, moon, or ascendant. Your life is super intense this week, Aquarius. That's why I'm wearing all those talismans and stuff. And the 12th house is the house of prayer and spiritual practices. So being in a more meditative state will help you a lot, Aquarius. Connecting with higher power in some way, and it can be, you can be pushed in that because of too many responsibilities or because of dissatisfaction in some way, because Saturn rules all those things that pushes you to connect to your higher self, the 12th house, or you might even need to basically, because 12th house is taking a break, and on a positive level, this can mean that you've completed some big responsibility and you're manifesting there, so you can take a break now. Or you might have some responsibilities about organizing something, about going on a break, for example. That's another way it can manifest. But Saturn responsibilities, 12th house, is getting away, far away countries, organizing some trip or something that you are very busy with and that you're being active, because full moon is about fruition, busyness, activity, you know. That you're manifesting, but you might find it like a bit that it has too many responsibilities, that feels a little bit burdensome, you know. Or you can be completing something behind the scenes as well. 12 houses about that as well. And if you've been working very hard on something, again, as I said, this full moon can manifest for you. And for Pisces, the full moon is happening in the 11th house. And the 11th house is about socio-economic goals of any sorts, which means that which means that, and the sun is opposite in the 5th house, so there might be tension between your love life, 5th house, and your 11th house. You might be focused on some socio-economic goals, for example, working on some project or some goal, or wanting to be social with friends, and that can create some tension and conflict in your love life. Like your love partner says, oh, you're not paying enough attention to me, or whatever. It might be the opposite, you know, that your love partner does that. But on another level, the focus is on this 11th house for you, Pisces. So you can have fruitions and see the fullness and receive results in regards to some long-term goal that you've been working on. Actually, having a full moon with Saturn in the 11th house can be quite positive, because 11th house is naturally the abode of Saturn, which is about working hard on long-term goals and wishes that we have. And the full moon activates this Saturn there. So if you've been working hard on some long-term goal to receive some recognition, to receive some gains, 11th house rules gains, financial gains, or social recognition of some sort, now you can have manifestation of that, but only if you've been working hard on it. Because this full moon, usually full moons gives, but this full moon gives only because Saturn puts it through the filter of how well have you deserved. So only hard efforts are rewarded now. Only hard efforts that you've been putting in the past, and maybe in the last 2 weeks, these next 2 weeks, you have to put the final extra efforts to manifest these gains, these recognitions that the 11th house symbolizes, and to receive through that, you know. But you have to put the extra effort. So, and there can be some dissatisfaction emotionally with friends or with groups. Emotional connection can escalate. Emotional situations with such people can escalate because of dissatisfaction or pressure from such people, friends or groups of people, pressure on you, or you putting pressure on them. And again, this can bring something to fruition, to completion, or to an ending, which is what full moons are about. So that's my horoscope for you for the last week of June, the first day of July as well. Hope that was helpful. Interesting times. One of the hottest summers is starting. I'm not talking temperature wise, I'm talking events wise. And those events start escalating with the full moon now in Capricorn, conjunct Capricorn, and Mars going retrograde. Very busy, very intense week. So thank you so much. Check out our webinar with Nicole Stojanovic on the 8th of July, what makes and what in astrology indicates the richest people. If you still want to join me on our foundational course, we've done 2 classes. There are 10 more classes. They're 6 hours each. It's never too late. You receive all the materials and support from me, and contact personal with me. Come and join me on my classes. Thank you.